Hi, welcome to S&S Outdoors, and today we're going to be showing you 4 easy steps on how to hydro dip your deer skull. Stay tuned. Okay, so this is just a 16 quart stainless steel pot that we got. You're not going to need a lid with it because obviously the horns and stuff aren't going to fit in there. Basically, the first step is just boil it. It gets rid of all the hair and the flesh and stuff on there, and it just basically makes it a good clean surface for you to apply your first coat of paint before you hydro dip it. So you just sit here and let it boil, and depending on how much hair and stuff's left on there is how long it's going to take. So we'll catch up with you whenever it's about ready to be pulled out. Okay, so this is something that typically happens whenever it gets heating up and starts to boil. You start getting this foam, as you can see around the base of his brow tine right here. That's a lot of like bacteria and like hair and just whatever is boiling up.
It's about to overflow.
It will overflow, so you just need to make sure you stay vigilant on that. If it looks like it's getting ready to overflow, you can just reduce the heat, and if that doesn't work right away, you can just pick it up with some towels or
anything really,
pot holders, and just pick it up, literally just right off the burner, and it will immediately reduce it to a simmer. Pro tip though, that smells like garbage.
It's pretty bad.
Alright, so as you can see right now, since the last time we talked, a lot of the skin and tissue and stuff is off. We let it boil, and whenever it was all coming off, I basically just took it out and used a knife to cut it off. You see there's some leftover like skin and tissue around the base of the antlers. So what you want to do whenever you get about 95% off of the skull, you want to do another boil and make sure you switch out the water and just kind of get a good last clean before you move on to the second stage. Basically what I do is I just go through and make sure that everything is pristine. So I make sure that all the flesh is out of, not only from underneath the skull right here, but also make sure it's out of these grooves that they have on their antlers. Another thing I do while they're boiling, and it's very common, I've had it happen on a couple of the ones I've done in the past, this nose bone right here, it tends to become fragile and loose fitting in there, as well as this nose bone right here. They tend to be very fragile. So what you can do to fix that, fortunately on this one that did not happen, so I don't have to fix it, but what you can do, and what I've done, and the reason why I use it is because it definitely is probably the easiest, clearest, and dries the fastest. I just use super glue. It leaves the least amount of residue. Don't have to worry about it holding because I know it'll hold. And then I go on to the other side and I make sure that all the teeth are in there. They don't have to be on there super firm, because whenever you hydro dip it, it should seal them in here, but you don't want your teeth falling out. So I just make sure that they stay in there decently well. Don't have to worry about them falling out. If they are falling out, once again, you can just use super glue. And then the biggest thing here is you've got these ear canals right here, right there. And what you want to do is you want to remove those, and I will show you how to do that. Okay, so we're going to remove these ear canals. So to do this, you're just going to need a pair of pliers, preferably needle nose, but I cannot find needle nose at the moment. So with needle nose, what you can do is you can just literally stick the needle, the thin part, right in that hole, right there, pinch in and just pull it out. Alright guys, so as you can probably tell, it's a new day. It's about a month since I recorded the beginning of this video. I go to college, so this was recorded back in October. It's in November, so I had to go back for college. I'm on my Thanksgiving break right now, so that's when I get to finish this video. So when I left off with you guys, we were working on this deer skull right here, and we're just gonna go ahead and finish it. We also got a new puppy. Her name is Layla. Say hi, Layla. So I don't remember exactly how many steps I said it was going to be. I think I said something around like 4 or 5, but that might get revised since I've had time to work on it. So, but yeah, catch you guys on the tripod. Okay, so from what I can remember, I think I told you guys 5 stages. The boiling stage, the prep stage for paint, painting stage, antler restoration, and then like your finishing touches. So in the beginning part of the video, we finished up the boiling stage. As you can see, there is no more meat or anything on there, and we were in the prepping stage. So I think we might have finished it. I'm not seeing a whole lot of anything that we missed. So what the big things you want to do for prepping for paint, you want to make sure you get all the hair and the flesh and stuff out of those tear ducts right there. Make sure you get it all out of the nose, because some are going to be stuck up in there. I'm going to come back here and check these back holes for anything, but we got that all pretty cleared up. Right in here, right on the bottom part right here, there's typically like a little ear canal that gets like, it's like bone, but you can just pull it right off, and that's what you want to do. So whenever you put this on plaque, it sits flush. If not, there'd be a little tear duct right here, and I mean not tear duct, ear canal that would just like hinder it from sitting properly. As I told you guys, like if you want to save the teeth, and the teeth are falling out, you can just use glue and stuff. That's what I do anyways. I don't know if that's textbook, but that's what I do. You can't really tell, even if you put a lot on there. You can just sand it off. I mean, it's not going to be that big of a deal if you do. I would just use pretty fine sandpaper and don't use any of the coarse stuff. That way you don't have any big gouges in it. But I'm pretty sure we're pretty good to go ahead and move on to paint. So I'll go ahead and get these antlers taped up in some bags, and I'll catch you up when we're getting ready to dip it. Okay, now that it's pretty much ready to get primer done, so you want to prime it before you actually dip it. It helps the paint stick, but also it's just going to prevent bare spots and stuff. So what I did is I just put Walmart sacks over each side of the antlers, and you want to make sure that there's some slack in there, because if there's not, the antlers could poke through the bag. But what I did is I just kind of slipped them over there, and then took painter's tape and just kind of wrapped around it, and I made sure to get right up around the edge right here, so no paint got up on the antlers at all. It doesn't have to be perfect, because it's going to be kind of towards the base of the antlers, so I'm not really paying attention there, but I'll catch back up with you whenever we get it primed. And since I'm doing this in the garage, if you're doing it inside, you're going to want to have a little painting platform here. So but yeah, this is just make sure that nothing gets on my floor, so just kind of raining out. So okay, so something I forgot to tell you, I'm using just regular Rust-Oleum paint. This is just like flat enamel, but this is white. You want to make sure you're using oil-based paint, especially whenever you dip it, because it just helps the paint stick to the water, and then once again stick to the skull better whenever you dip it. So yeah, just make sure you use Rust-Oleum paint, or oil-based. Doesn't have to be Rust-Oleum, just oil-based. Okay, so I just got that done. By no means does that have to be perfect, but the better you do your primer or your first base coat, the better it's going to turn out in the end. So I just did, for mine, you don't have to do it this way. I just did a white base coat because I want there to be more white than any other color, and then I want black and gray to be some accents. So I'm kind of going for like a snow camo pattern almost. But if you just look at it, you know, it's pretty well evenly covered. I'll bring it close so you can see, but yeah, you know, it's just got a pretty good base coat on there, and make sure you get in all the little nooks and crannies, because as I said, the better you do it, the better it'll turn out. And I'll catch up with you whenever it's drying. Okay, so it's been about an hour and a half since I last checked in with you guys. It's pretty dry now. You can see all the way around a really even coat. I really made sure to get into all the just little nooks and crannies to make sure to just have a good base coat. So now what we're getting ready to go do is fill this up with water. And I'll show you the size of the tote I'm using. So it's really just got to be big enough to just fit the skull in there. If I had to say, probably about a foot or so deep. It's a 90 quart. It's a little 90 quart thing. I don't know, that you might ask, like, does any of this paint in here really affect it? No, because it's all dry and stuff, and when the water's in there, it doesn't like loosen up or anything. It stays in there pretty fine. So I'll get back with you whenever we're getting ready to dip it. So yeah. Okay, so here we got our bucket of water. You need 3 things for this. Obviously, you need your paint. Then whenever you get done spraying about how much your desired amount of paint in there, you're gonna need this just something to mix your pattern in. You can use anything. You can use a stick. I use a little straw just to draw a little pattern in there. And then whenever you get done and it's all fully submerged, you're gonna need something close by to wipe the paint away. You can use literally anything for this. I use a piece of cardboard. You can use a newspaper or whatever. But let's go ahead and get this started. So I've got my base coat is white, as you guys seen, and then since I'm going for like a white camo look, I've got like a black and a gray. So let's go ahead and get this started. So just go ahead and spray it in there. And it's going to recede. And then go ahead and spray your other color in there. You can do this however many times you want. But it starts to come back together after you let go, and you'll see that here real quick. Probably saw it pretty good with the black. I have no idea what happens if you let it come back. I just don't, just in case. See there, it starts to come back again, and we'll do that. And then one more little ring of black, and we'll be calling it good and probably be ready to go ahead and dip it. So now that we've got our paint in there, hopefully you can kind of see that. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of draw some lines in there. Okay. And now it's time to dip it. So what I typically do is go in nose first, wherever I think the best camo, whatever the best design is, and you're going to do it real slow. And just kind of, when you get close to the bottom, just kind of tilt it. Alright, now it's fully submerged. Go ahead and grab whatever you're using to get the paint away. Just kind of whisk it away. Whisk it all to one side, or just make sure it's all out of there, because whenever you pull it back up, it will go back over. There you water off. Yeah, there it is. And so we're going to go ahead and go set this somewhere to dry. And I'll pick up with you whenever it's done drying. Okay, so now that this is all dry, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put a clear coat on it. The reason being is because whenever we go ahead and do the antlers. I don't want anything to scratch up the paint or anything, so if I had that, just like a basic clear coat on there, it's going to be enough of a protective layer to not mess up the paint or anything while I'm working on the antlers. So go ahead and do that real quick. It doesn't have to be anything super super heavy, doesn't have to be anything super pristine, just enough to make sure it doesn't get damaged while you're working with it. And it's okay if you get a little on the antlers, because I'll just show you a way to take care of it. So. Okay, so this next part, we're going to be working on restoring the horns. Forgive me for the tongue twister. So what I do is I use just the darkest coffee I could find. So Folgers Black Silk is what I use. And you can either use the coffee grounds that you typically use every day, like straight out of the coffee machine. Like, so you make a batch of coffee, you can go ahead and use those coffee grounds, or you can go ahead and just basically do this. So after you get your coffee in there, what I typically do is pour, you can do any kind of water, but I typically do hot water. And what you're looking for is kind of a paste. You don't want it runny, and you don't want it super thick, but you want it somewhat thick. So I've got gloves on because this will stain your fingers pretty bad if you don't use gloves. I'm also doing it on cardboard because it does tend to get a little bit messy. Okay. There we go. It's like a good paste here, like, I don't know, something you think of like Bondo or something. Just a good malleable, sticks together. Alright. And what you're going to do is you're just going to take it and you're going to grab your antler and you're just going to rub it on. So I'll catch back up with you whenever I get done doing this, but you just rub it on there. Make sure it's not too wet, otherwise it'll rub it off. And don't grab huge amounts whenever you do it. Just take a fingerful, rub it on, because the more you have in your hand, the more water it's going to have in it, and the more it's going to rub itself off. So. Okay, so here we are. I've done this side. I have not done this side, and I mean, as you can tell, you can just see like night and day difference. So you can see how white and bleached that is compared to that side. I wish I had a little bit better lighting, but okay, so just finished this side. I don't know if you can see the difference, but there's that white bleach side, and then there's the really dark side. You can just kind of see how it brought the life back to the antlers. There's a couple spots here I missed, but for the most part, this really did a really good job. And I'll go ahead and show you guys this side so you can see it on camera. But there you guys see there's really white right there. Let's go ahead and grab some of this and just, you can just see it bringing the color back to it already. And make sure you work it really good into the horns. You don't have to do it super hard either, because I find that the harder you rub it in, just kind of rubs it off. So I just kind of lightly just like move my hand across it. I'm not like pushing down on it or anything. I'm just letting the coffee grounds do the work, and you can grab them right back off of here, off the table, and just move your hand across it. You don't really want to work it in, you're just trying to basically smear it. Okay, so now that we are done with that, so this is the reason why I recommended you have the clear coat on there, because I don't know if you can see it really well on the camera, but there is coffee grounds all over the paint and stuff. Okay, so now we got this relatively clean. I don't see a whole lot of coffee grounds in there anywhere. So I'm going to get a slightly damp washcloth, and we are going to just wipe down the skull. Another reason why I said a clear coat would be a good idea, because you don't want to run a washcloth over something, like over fresh paint. So since it's been clear coated, it should be fine to have a slightly damp washcloth come and get some little bit of coffee stains off of there, and we should be good to go into our final stage of just finishing touches. So yeah. Okay, so I went with a slightly damp washcloth and wiped it all down, made sure there's no more coffee stains or anything on there. And now we're just going to get into the final touches. So if you can kind of see, there's some uneven parts that didn't get as equally treated by the coffee. So what I'm going to do is, steel wool works pretty good for this, but also what this does is not only does it take out some of the grime and stuff you can kind of see right there, but it also kind of adds some character, because not the antlers as we know in real life are not all the same coat, like the same evenness. So you want to kind of just take some steel wool or whatever you got, and just kind of go over it very lightly, because it's a little, just barely brush it, because if you put on a lot, it'll take it away a lot. So just kind of give it some accents, color accents, where it typically would be a little lighter in real life. Do some around the tips, because as we all know, they tend to grind their tips a lot. And I'll meet back up with you whenever I think I've got these accents pretty well done. Okay, so I'm pretty well done with the accents and stuff. And now what I'm going to do is, since we all know that antlers kind of have like a natural shine, what you want to do is you want to take a clear coat and just give it a very, very light clear coat over the antlers. Okay, so now that your clear coat is dried, what you want to do is you just want to look over it and see if there's any spots on your horns that shine too much. So I don't know if you can see it, but right through here it's too shiny. And then there's a spot right here on the back side. I don't know how well the camera's picking up that, but it shines too much. So what you want to do is just basically take your steel wool and just go over it with that steel wool until you're satisfied. Okay, so this deer, my grandpa shot it about 2 years ago. It's been sitting out in a field underneath my truck for about 2 years. The sun got to it pretty bad. I told him that I would get to it, to European mountain it, but I just never did. And so finally I got to it, and the antlers are just sun bleached beyond, just terribly sun bleached. So I decided to do this restoration video on it, and as you can see, it's got a really neat pattern to it. I like it. It's got a really good shine, really good pop to it. Here's the back side of it. As you can see, everything's got a good even coat. The antlers got really good color back to them. No unnatural shine to them. They've got, you can see, pretty good detail, and there's even a little blood mark right there from whenever we shot it, just laid in his own blood. So it really still maintains the original detail to it. So, but yeah, that's 5 easy steps to a hydro dip in your deer.